The Hill published an article today detailing Trump's top 10 competitors in the 2020 election. So I'm going to run through this list, this beautiful list of possible contenders for the presidency in 2020 running against Trump for the Democratic Party. And this is a really great list. You know, we talk a lot about all the challenges that are coming, that we're going to have to face very soon with the election coming up and everything. We got to get the wall built. We got to, deport the illegals. We got to work on a lot of different things to make sure that Donald Trump does get reelected. But, to look at this list, it's very encouraging. It's definitely reassuring that, hey, okay, we've got some work to do. We've got a lot of stuff to do, but it might not, we don't have the added challenge, as far as we know, we don't have the added challenge of having to run against a phenomenal Democratic candidate. Because, in 2016, they had Hillary Clinton, who was everybody knew that she was going to be the candidate for, 2 years beforehand. They had Bernie Sanders, who had some popularity, but, alas, it was never meant to be when when the Democrats, rig elections. It's just not going to happen. So now who is there? Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. He is in this list. We'll get to that in a minute, but he's not a Democrat. He's almost 80 years old right now. So who is it? So number one on this list for the Hill is Beto O'Rourke, the attempted, the guy that attempted to run for senator in Texas, here in the great state of Texas, trying to take the seat from Ted Cruz. Luckily, we Texans did not vote for Beto. Beto, of course, is not his real name. His real name is Robert O'Rourke. He's not a Mexican, but he was a representative for El Paso, which means that, you gotta kind of throw the token Hispanic name in there. And the guy is a sock puppet. He's much like Obama in the fact that they go, oh, he's so sincere. He's such a great orator. And then he talks like this, and he does these weird hand motions and makes hand motions that don't make sense. He's not a good orator. He's not genuine. He's not authentic. He's not smart. There's nothing really good about him. But for some reason, he's held up as this, oh, he's so beautiful. It's so good. So Trump would trash Beto. Think about Trump versus Beto. It would effectively be Trump versus a worse version of Obama. A worse and also white version of Obama. Being black is one of Obama's main achievements. So he would trash him. Number two on the list is Bernie Sanders, which we mentioned a minute ago. Yeah, Bernie Sanders probably has the most competitive edge. He's liked by young people, millennials, as well as the liberal Generation Z. Those people like him. Not so much the older traditional Democrats, the more corporate Democrats, even the conservative Blue Dog Democrats. They're not fans of him. But the other benefit that he has, besides being liked by young people, is that he does appeal to working class people in the Midwest and stuff. So that's good in his favor. But the thing is, the man's already, I believe he's 78 or 79 right now, if I'm not mistaken. He might be a little bit younger. I think he's 78. In 2020, he's going to be almost, or maybe he'll be 78 by 2020. I don't know. The point is that he's almost 80 years old, regardless. 80 years old going into the presidency. He's already, kind of stupid. I want to use other words for humor, but I can't because YouTube will demonetize me. But anyway, so I'm not too worried about Bernie. Also, he has the socialist thing attached to his name. I think Trump would deal pretty well with that. Also, the fact that he had the election stolen from him, everybody knew it, and he just kowtowed to the Democrats. He just, rolled over and let them kick him. So, Trump could use that against him and stuff too. Also, the fact that he's a socialist and he has, multiple houses, that's kind of lame stuff for us people watching this. We've heard it a million times. But for Trump to use, it's great, great stuff. Number three is Joe Biden, ex-vice president, creepy Joe Biden. I don't even need to go into this one. The memes write themselves. You guys can imagine how this would go. Trump would slaughter him. There's videos all over the place of him creepily touching women and also young girls. 13, 12, 11, 10-year-old girls, if not younger, him being really, really creepy. And it's no secret that a lot of these Washington, D.C. types are pedophiles. I don't know if Joe Biden is actually a pedophile, but, it looks what it is. So that's all we know. But Trump would slaughter him, creepy Uncle Joe. It would be no problem, I don't think. And he does carry with him the Obama legacy, which liberals do like. A lot of liberals are mad at Hillary Clinton. In their minds, though, Obama's legacy is pretty much unbesmirched. He's pretty much a god in their minds still. So he does carry that with him. In the last 6 months of Obama's presidency, they tried to meme Joe Biden as this cool, goofy uncle type that we all love, but it kind of came out of nowhere. It's kind of forced. So hard to tell exactly. Again, this guy is almost 80 years old in 2020. So who knows? But it's not the worst candidate that we could ask for. Number 4 is Kamala Harris. And in the article, they say that she's such a great orator. She's so smart. She's so, and plus, and it's funny in the article, they even mention the fact that her being black is good. She's a black woman, so it's good for the Democrats. But, so Kamala Harris, she's not a great orator. If you look at the way that she talked to Kavanaugh when the Kavanaugh hearings were happening, she's like, did you know this man in this law firm at this time? And he's like, I don't know. Maybe. Do you have a picture of him? Do you have any, what did he do? Can you give me any hints? I don't know if I knew him. She's like, did you meet with this guy that works at this law firm? He's like, I don't know. Do you know something that I don't? She's clearly trying to get him to say no so that she can pull something out and be like, ha, but you did meet with him. And it was like brunch or something like that. And he was clearly like, no, I don't know. Do you know something that I don't? And she just can't, she has no skill in this department. She's not an orator. She can't debate. I mean, just imagine Trump and Kamala Harris debating. Just go out there and watch there's probably cringe compilations out there of Kamala Harris talking in Congress on the Senate floor. So not the worst, again, not the worst candidate that we could end up with. Number 5, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas herself. She doesn't have the working class appeal. She went to Harvard. She lives in Massachusetts. She's very rich, wealthy, white woman. She's not cool. She's not hip. She can't joke around. She can't can you meme? One thing about Bernie Sanders, even though I think that the memes are bad, you can meme him. You can kind of joke around, and he's got this image, that dummies can kind of play with. Elizabeth Warren, I was about to say she's less cool than Hillary Clinton was, but that's not necessarily the case. She's just not, she has no coolness about her. Cool, one thing that I've talked about a lot, the cool factor is very important. Donald Trump is definitely cool. Elizabeth Warren is not very cool. Okay, so I don't think that we have much to worry about with her. She does have, is kind of a progressive leaning person, but then also she is very friendly with banks and stuff, so that would not work out in her favor. Who knows how she wouldn't really play out with the working class white folks in the Midwest because, again, Harvard graduate, Massachusetts, not exactly, their type of person. Number 6 on the list is Sherrod Brown, Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio. Who is that, you might ask? I don't know. No, I know who he is. He's in the article. You look at him, number 1, he looks like a creep. You can just look at some people and know, yeah, this guy will never be president. He will never be president. He's also, there's also stuff, sexual assault allegations going back to the 80s. There's some weird stuff around him. He doesn't have the cool factor like we were talking about a minute ago. There's nothing about him. And plus, who has heard of him? Very few people have heard of him. Sherrod Brown. Maybe you've heard of him if you follow politics like, I have, but I've heard of him because of that, not because of anything notable that he's done. So he'd have to do some pretty crazy stuff up until the election to get the kind of the notoriety in order to possibly win the nomination. Number 7 is Spartacus, Cory Booker. Again, not a great orator. If you look at him on the Senate committees, all the different committees and stuff, he's not a great orator. He's very dramatic. He's very over dramatic. He thinks that he's like Martin Luther King Jr. He thinks that he's a Barack Obama. He's not. And this may be the closest moment I have to a Spartacus moment. We want to see those documents. It's like, Senator Booker, those documents have already been released. And then, and then he goes on record, I'm not saying I'm like Spartacus. I'm just, shut up. Again, not cool, not a good orator, very lame. Trump, imagine a good litmus test. Part of the reason that Trump did so well is because of the fact that look at the debates. Look at how he handled Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz and John Kasich. Look at how he handled these people. Look at how he handled Hillary Clinton. And then imagine these Democratic candidates stacked up against Trump. Imagine how Joe Biden would handle Trump. Like, he would probably come back, because Joe Biden said some stuff like, oh, I'd like to take Trump out behind a barn. At least he can say stuff like that. He's still a retard. But imagine, at least he can say stuff like that, aside from the stupid regurgitated talking points that people like Beto, vomit all the time. So that's a good way. But imagine Cory Booker arguing with Trump. I don't think that it would go over very well in favor of Cory Booker. So Amy Klobuchar, I think that's how you say her name. She's the woman that questioned Brett Kavanaugh and was like, have you ever blacked out from drinking? Have you ever blacked out from drinking, huh? Have you ever drank too much? Have you ever been drunk, unlike me and the rest of my virtuous Democratic colleagues? And Brett Kavanaugh was like, no, have you ever blacked out? And of course, it was a big deal when he asked her that, but not when she asked him. Not inappropriate when she asked him, but it was for him to ask her. So, again, this woman is ugly. I'm not giving that any more value than it has. She's ugly, and she's not ugly in like an acceptable way. She's like weird. She kind of looks like that woman from SNL. Amy something. I don't know. She's in all those sketches with Amy Poehler or whatever her name is. But she's ugly. She's not a good-looking woman. She's also weird. We can't elect weird, ugly people to the office of president. You understand this? It just doesn't really work. One thing that can be said about Hillary Clinton, even though she was very evil and demonic looking, she looked like if you didn't know who she was and she didn't have that fake like robotic smile, you could see her being like somebody's grandma, like your friend's grandma or something. Obama, he looks like a normal run-of-the-mill, black guy. Bush, looks like a rancher, that you might meet. All these things. Trump is a very cool person. You look at the presidents. Bill Clinton played the saxophone on TV. He did a lot of cool stuff, cool-ish, and he looks like a normal person. Amy Klobuchar is not one of those people. She doesn't look cool. The number 9, moving along, number 9, Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor or current mayor? I don't remember. I don't really keep up with New York. It's kind of a lost city at the moment. I don't know. We're going to take back New York. Anyways, what can you say about Michael Bloomberg? This guy might have the most chance as far as just, actually being able to jab back and forth with Trump. I don't know. I haven't really seen him in that. He's a businessman and he was a mayor. You don't really get to see him that much in that environment where he's like trading jabs and, bantering with somebody or debating them. So who knows? But he is a little bit, he's a little bit more on the feisty side. So maybe. But what accomplishments? New York City sucks. Under Giuliani really cleaned up the crime. Giuliani did a lot of stuff as mayor of New York. Michael Bloomberg, what has he done? New York sucks. New York is terrible to live in now, unless you're very wealthy. So I don't know what else he'd have to run on other than he's like a rich Democrat that maybe can argue with Trump a little bit better than some of these other guys. And number 10, Kirsten Gillibrand. She, out of all of the women that are running, because she, I would say, looks the part the best. She looks fairly diplomatic. She looks, she doesn't look weak. She doesn't look like a weird Midwestern mom. She doesn't look lame or ugly. She looks okay. She looks pretty normal. And, she kind of grandstands a lot because she obviously wants to run for president. So people see through that. People don't think that she's very authentic. And the thing is, though, also, what else has she done? She hasn't done a whole lot. But Kirsten Gillibrand, even though she, out of all the women on this list, she kind of looks the most possibly presidential, she has to overcome everybody else. The other 9 people in the top of those lists, and this is a pretty good list of who we have to, worry about in 2020. Kirsten Gillibrand has to, and of course, we still have a year and a half to go. We could see somebody else, come out of the woodwork that's better. But she would still have to overcome all 9 of these other people. So, yeah, Beto could be the nominee. He also lost, though. I mentioned the other stuff, about him being kind of a loser, like a worse version of a white Obama. But he also lost. You kind of need to win in order to have a chance. You kind of need to, not just for the experience, but you just kind of need to not be a loser. So I don't know. I would say that if it weren't for the age, I think Bernie Sanders is probably the worst to worry about. But even then, Trump, I think, has plenty of ammunition. Joe Biden, if it weren't for the creepy Uncle Joe stuff, the, semi-pedophilic stuff, Joe Biden would probably have a pretty good chance. But again, he's old, and also the creepiness around young children kind of is a deal breaker. It doesn't matter how good the rest of the stuff is, kind of a deal breaker. So I don't know. Those are the two guys that I would say are the most likely. Kirsten Gillibrand is probably the most presidential type. She would probably make the least she would probably look the least foolish compared to like Kamala Harris and Senator Warren Pocahontas. But she has to overcome all the other 9. So I don't know. It's still yet to be seen who will be the nominee. If the thing is, Bernie Sanders, even if he runs, he's a very divisive figure in the Democratic Party, namely because he's not a Democrat. And he's very progressive, and other, non-progressives don't like him. So I don't know. I'm not going to make a prediction as of yet, but it's a very big white pill. It's good to see. We have a lot of other things to worry about to make sure that Trump gets elected. But, the one thing that we don't have to worry about is running against a good, smart, formidable candidate. So that's good. Very encouraging. For NewsWars.com, I'm Jake Lloyd.
Support good oral health with our one-of-a-kind Super Blue fluoride-free products. InfoWars Life brings you a revolutionary toothpaste blend with iodine and nano silver designed to deliver a powerful clean. Enjoy a minty fresh flavor made with peppermint oil or try our bubblegum flavor. Pair this groundbreaking toothpaste with the Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and supercharge your oral health. Our amazing mouthwash features natural oils and ancient ingredients used since Aboriginal and biblical times. Instead of containing fluoride, our Super Blue line is loaded with the good halogen iodine and an array of other beneficial compounds that have been hand-selected for their oral health benefits. Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and toothpaste are the first and only to contain all of these natural ingredients: xylitol, nano silver, and iodine. Notice the difference with our Super Blue fluoride-free products. Refresh your breath and invigorate your oral health routine at InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com.